go. Chinese military is the largest and most modern it's ever been. Edwards Air Force Base commander warns. So they do a lot of testing and stuff there at Edwards. So it says by 2027 in the areas west of the international date line where U.S. assets are deployed, China will outnumber U.S. forces about 12-1 in modern fighter jets, including 5-3 in fifth-gen aircraft, 3-1 in maritime patrol planes. So the article goes on to talk about the fact that at sea, air, we're outnumbered. And then it talks about how the Chinese have basically infiltrated our infrastructure. So there's at least a dozen telecom companies that admit that they've been compromised, the general said. Adding to this, has left American networks open to surveillance of top government officials and their communications. And he says the CCP knows every call my government phone has made for the last 4 years. It's General Weichert, and they're still there. We can't get rid of them. That's what uncertainty and risk looks like, and it's creating a very dangerous world right now. So, the fact that we're outnumbered, that, 20 years ago, when I first started flying fighters, I remember first studying the Chinese threat, as a young Hornet pilot, and we were outnumbered then. Now, granted, the quality of aircraft and training they had back then was further apart from what we had.
Right.
But I asked the question. I'm like, okay, day one we go up against. Hopefully, it never happens. But day one we go up against these guys. They launch whatever 500. I'm like, how many AMRAAM do we even carry on the carrier? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So like, it irritates me a little bit that it's been 20 years and it's like, oh, the problem that we had 20 years ago is still the problem. I'm not saying we should match them 1 for 1 because, in my opinion, as a proud American, I think 1-to-1 we're way better, even today. But the part that also kind of gets me is the whole fact that by infiltrating our infrastructure and communication, they know what they need to know without ever really fighting us. I don't know. What do you think about that? I think that's pretty. That's pretty strong on their part.
100%. The article also talks about our aging aircraft and how, and that goes back to the stuff I've said all along, right? You need bodies in cockpits. So if we don't have the capable operators to sit in the seats and we don't have the jets for them to sit in, it doesn't matter what they have because we're ill-equipped. And so the article brings up the point that they can potentially manipulate everything without firing a shot. If you have unlimited access to information and everything, information warfare is huge. Intelligence is huge. And so if they know what we know, but even beyond that, buying land around military bases, having surveillance on phones, knowing all the new weapons tech, the stuff that they get just because in some ways we're careless, but in some ways they're just good at what they do. And they have put a lot of emphasis on the espionage program so that they can accelerate the growth of their military in the last 20 years, right? Because like you just talked about, 20 years ago, it was, well, okay, yeah, I'm outnumbered, but it's going to be their, JH7s, it's going to be something. It's not going to be this.
It's going to be J20.
J20. Yeah. It's not going to be something more advanced, but I go back to what we talked about earlier in the show. I prefer peace. Yeah. I think negotiated peace and peace through strength, because we are, whether we like it or not, economically, we do rely on each other a lot. There is a lot of codependence just on the countries, and why we don't, we do, but I would rather us be strong militarily, but then negotiate peace and negotiate ways that we can coexist than, do a Taiwan Strait scenario or some other South China Sea scenario. Some of that, they say a tiger can't change its stripes. So some of that doesn't matter. They're going to do what they're going to do, and we either stop them or we allow it to happen, because that's just the way it is, and that's how they see themselves as a global superpower. But ideally, we don't get to that scenario, because I don't think anybody wants that war. It's not going to be pretty for any side.
No, it's not, man. I will say this. Having watched China grow over the last 20 years, it's so clear to me that as a country, as a whatever. They are laser focused, man.
They are, but I think if we did end up in some kind of scenario like that, it would not be good for them either. Not
No,
just
it'd
from
be
a military
terrible.
perspective, but just from the fact that they
Yeah.
are dependent on the world economy, just like
Yeah.
everybody else. And
Yeah.
that's going to be an interesting thing to see what happens with, their advancement, what they believe, their one China policy, all the stuff that continues to be a threat and continues to be something that we got to watch. I'd rather, be really cool if we could all work together, but
I know, man. I'm with you, dude. I
But
think peace and making money is more fun than killing and making war. But
meanwhile, I mean, they're on TikTok, right? TikTok's about to be banned, because they're on your phone. So,
yeah.